Dave, a shame that results elsewhere mean that automatic promotion is just out of reach on the final day, but to be sat in third place, you must be immensely proud of what's already been achieved this season.
Yeah, of course we are. We've got ourselves in a really good position and I suppose achieved one objective in the fact that the season extended for us and we have a playoff opportunity to go and get promoted. Our mindset doesn't really change from after the game last weekend. The plan for us was to want to go to Wycombe in order to win a game, and that still remains the same. As you say, results and Wrexham's result against Charlton means that they obviously got that second automatic spot and thoroughly deserving, and congratulations to them. From our side of things, like I say, being in third is great. Going and finishing third is an opportunity, but we look forward to obviously the games that come after that.
How important is Saturday's game in that regard for you? Because obviously both teams have a playoff spot, but Saturday will determine what that playoff campaign looks like, I suppose.
It's important for us because we want to finish third. It's not the be-all and end-all. I'd much rather be in the situation we are now, having a playoff spot guaranteed and not being the jeopardy of having to go to Wycombe to get a draw or a win in order to secure a playoff place. And there are some teams, obviously, that's their reality on the final game of the season. It won't be a season-defining game, but it will sort of structure what the path looks like beyond that. But when you get into the playoffs, you know that you need to win a two-legged game in some way and then ultimately win a final at Wembley. And that doesn't change regardless of who you play against, where you play and what day and what time. The same rules still apply, if you like.
You spoke last week, about the possibility of resting certain players for this game, about the opportunity to give other players minutes. Do you still envisage that being the case on Saturday?
Listen, we want to win the game and we want to finish in third place. That's not just because or we think that that might result in a different path. I think for us to finish third in our first season in League One would be a brilliant effort. We understand that there's a prize beyond that we still want to go and try and grab, but to finish third will be brilliant, and we've got ourselves into the driving seat, if you like. What we won't do, and this is where it's tough, we won't risk any players, but there aren't really players that are coming back that are going to be available for this game. If I was looking solely at a playoff campaign, then the easiest thing to do would be from the game last week, not train all this week, send the youth team to Wycombe, wrap our players up in cotton wool in order for a playoff game the following Saturday. That's not going to be the case. I've just said to the players there, we want to be best prepared as we can. So the players that are in the team and stay fit and stay in the team. The ones that are fit and not in the team, do everything you can to get in the team. The ones that are injured, give yourself the best chance of getting fit as soon as possible. That should be the case throughout the course of the season, even more so now. Can we be in a situation where we've got everybody fit going into a two-legged playoff semi-final and then a final? And if we do that, then I believe we have a really good chance.
You had that B-team game on Tuesday as well against Middlesbrough. Minutes for some players that needed it. Another goal for Jack Diamond. Were you pleased with what you saw from that game?
Yeah, they're always tough. I think what it is a good opportunity for some of our younger players to play with some of the senior ones, and they should set the tone in terms of standards and what that looks like. I suppose if you're looking at it just mentality-wise, a good run out. That again, what we should do is really kick on, and the second half probably becomes a little bit bitty because we're certainly for first team players picking number of minutes that we might get them to play. But whether it's Tuesday night or whether it's potentially further down the line with the gap between a playoff semi-final and a playoff final, and having to make sure as many players are as fit as possible, them games become really important. I know at the time there'll always be a thought process that says, I want to be playing in the first team. That for them games become really important if you've been out injured. They may not seem as important if you're fit and not being selected, but you have to use them for your advantage to make sure you give yourself the best chance, and that's always going to be the case. So as with everything, good things and things we can do better. No real injury concerns on the back of it, which is obviously key, and look forward to the weekend.
Great to see Ryan Rydell back and getting 45 minutes last week. Is anyone else back in contention for Saturday, or are you looking more towards the playoffs further down the line?
Yeah, no one will be back for Saturday. And I suppose, as I've just said previously, we wouldn't risk anybody in one game. We want to give them, if we can, an extra week. I would look towards the first playoff game. In reality, there then might be a situation where any players that are coming back haven't played any minutes between their injury and what that first playoff game looks like. And it may be that it's pushed further down the line to the second playoff game. But it's a moving target at the minute. Lads are outside doing different things on the grass and loading wise, increasing that. They'll have to tick off objective markers in order to give us the confidence that they can go and perform, and stuff that is in the gym. Hence why I've said to the lads who are injured, give yourself the best chance. If I'm looking at it and I've got a target of wanting to play in that first playoff game, for me, I'm asking the questions to say, what do I need to do the day before that, and the day before that, in order to give them, go to the extremes of saying, what do I need to do in order to give myself the best chance of being fit? If that's further down the line in terms of the second leg on the Wednesday or Thursday, fine, work backwards from that point. But make sure, from your own selfish personal perspective, you're asking the right questions to give you the best chance. And I'm pretty confident that'll be the case.
Just been chatting to Ethan Pye about his time with the club and I suppose his career progression over the last couple of years. As a former centre-half yourself, how far do you think he can go? Because he just seems to take everything in his stride at the minute.
He goes as far as he wants to go. One thing's for certain, you only go further by improving and learning, and Ethan's good at that. So has he made mistakes? Of course he's made mistakes. You don't often see him make the same mistake twice or three times. He's intelligent enough to understand where he's at and what he needs to do. The biggest compliment you can give him is that whatever level he's played at, he's made the step up quite naturally, and he's not looked flustered, out of his depth in any way, shape or form. And like I say, we've got really big hopes for him, and that they're hopes that are with Stockport County, but also potentially away from Stockport County. He's been brilliant as a young left-sided centre back. I don't think there's any better out there, certainly at our level. And I'd suggest that level up. We're always looking for players that can improve our team, and if the best and worst thing happens and Ethan's snapped up for a huge fee by a club higher up, then for us, where's the replacement? There aren't loads out there. So we've benefited from him improving. He will undoubtedly benefit from himself improving and taking on the information he's been given and performing really, really consistently, not over the course of a season, over the course of seasons in different divisions. His pathway's been, like I say, sometimes your journey can be a little bit up and down. He's gone 20 games in the National League North, 45 games in the National League, 45 or 40 odd games in League 2, 40 odd games in League 1. A real steady progression, and never, like I say, never looked like he shouldn't be at that level. I think he can, without question, step up another level. We hope that's with us, and he's still got more than the majority of his career in front of him. So yeah, really exciting times.
Coming back to Wycombe then, obviously flying high when they came to Edgley Park in November under Matt. Changing manager maybe destabilised them a little bit, as it would for most teams. Mike's gone in there and certainly made them more miserly. Are they the same team that you faced back then? So same players, of course. Yeah,
same players, slightly different structure. And again, it's a tough one with Wycombe, I suppose, with the way the new ownership and a new way of thinking around the football club, even from earlier in the season, and I suppose how they want to progress and move forward. I think having done my pro licence over the last 18 months with Gareth Ainsworth, they've sort of been renowned for a very specific style of play, and obviously Matt was with Gareth, so that sort of carried on, and you knew what you were going to get, or certainly what you weren't going to get when you played against Wycombe teams. Mike's slightly different in terms of what that looks like, and I suppose they'll look to evolve, but they've been at the top of the table for a long period of time throughout the course of the season, and have a really powerful pacey team that can cause any team's problems. They'll be disappointed with their camp, because if you look 2 weeks ago, the automatic place was in their hands in terms of having to play against Charlton, having to play against Leyton Orient. Their run at the back end of the season always looked tough on paper. They'd got to a point where you were thinking that maybe they'd got themselves into a position where they could see it over the line. That's not been the case. But regardless, still have threats, especially at the top end of the pitch, and defensively are, like I say, a big, strong team that don't concede a lot of goals. Take the Charlton game out of it, which was a bit of a freak result, and are a threat at the other end of the pitch. So we know it's going to be a tough game and really need to be switched on. You've
certainly come a long way since then, though, as well. And I guess when you look back to that day, how big a turning point was it? Because you go into that the following weekend, made some changes, beat Bolton 5-0, and I suppose I've never really looked back since then.
No, I don't think. Well, it's certainly not happened in my career. I don't think it's happened in many people's clubs' careers where you lose 5-0 on a Tuesday and then win 5-0 on a Saturday, especially against Wycombe and Bolton, who are two teams that are going to be up near the top of the table. How big a turning point? I'm not sure. Hindsight and reflection will say, yeah, maybe it was. I think what we've tried to do throughout the course of the season is, whether we win, lose or draw, is learn lessons from what's happened during the 90 minutes. There's always going to be positives in games of football, which we'll take up. There's always going to be bits, whether you win 4-0, 5-0, that you can improve and do better. So we're pretty consistent in what that looks like. Whether there was learnings from the players, and whether that was the moment that says, okay, that's what League One can do for you. If that was the case, and I've not spoken to them about that, but if that was the case, then it's a huge positive, and reinforces the fact that as much as there'll be disappointment, you can be big learning and big positives takes from losing games of football. If we'd have been told that on the Tuesday evening after that game that come the last game of the season we'd be in third position and we'd be above Wycombe and fighting for 3 points to finish third, then I suppose many people would have doubted it, but we've absolutely taken it, and that's the case where we currently sit.
Appreciate your time, Dave. Thank you.
Welcome. Cheers. Thank you.